Now, we have a wonderful staff in our health center, and I really want to make sure that you utilize those services and use our wonderful staff there. And they're here to do a presentation for you all. So let me ask our health center staff to come up, Linda Martinez and Dr. Deanna McFadden.
I can't remember to stand still long enough to leave it there. Welcome to Oxnard College. I think everybody had a chance to see where the health center is located today, right? Yes. So, good. Linda and I are kind of the dynamic duo there. She's our mental health department. I'm a nurse practitioner. We also have a physician, we have a nurse, we have all kinds of services. But what we want to do today is switch gears a little bit. You've been learning a lot of nuts and bolts about how to go to school, financial aid, other kinds of services. But we want to talk to you about taking care of yourself over this process, because that's kind of the foundation that you need to build to be a successful college student. Okay. So we're going to play a little game, and what I'm going to do is shout out and raise your hand. Which would you rather do? Speak in public or hold a snake? Raise your hand. Public speakers. Snakes. You know, I would stand out there in that lobby all day with a snake rather than stand up here and do this. So you can't get over it. Would you rather go without the internet for 3 months or get your flu vaccine?
Internet 3 months, build your immune system.
How many flu vaccines?
Okay. And the reason we're asking these questions is they actually do have something to do with their health. Public speaking is something that is really stressful for some of us, and that's something that we can also help you with. Getting your flu shot. You know what? If any of you got the flu, it's probably not going to be that serious, but you're going to miss class and for 7 to 10 days. So we're encouraging people to get their vaccinations. Keep waiting for you. Would you rather spend 30 minutes a day exercising or 30 minutes a day with a scary clown? Okay, exercise, scary clown. Okay. Exercise really affects how you perform in school, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Would you rather study every day, or would you rather stay up all night before a test? Every day? Night before? Okay, I don't think anyone wants to end up looking like this guy. But another big issue that students have is not getting adequate sleep, and that affects your academic performance also. Would you rather have a rewind button on your life or a pause button? Rewind? Pause. Okay, Linda's going to talk to me a little bit more about that. So, is anyone here a psychology or biology major? Nursing, any of those? You're going to learn to love this. It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So that's just a really fancy way of saying that we have to build a foundation in our lives in order to rise to the next level. So what we're talking about today is building a good, strong foundation for your pyramid so that you become a more and more successful student. So at the bottom, the physiological needs, we need to be safe. We need to have a place to sleep, you need to have food, and you need to exercise and move your body. And then as you go up the pyramid, then you become more emotionally safe. And at the very top is when you are at your peak performance for learning. So it's so easy to get distracted from that foundation because we get busy, don't think it's that important, but hopefully I'm going to show you some reasons why that is important. Okay, healthy food. Who here had a parent tell them, you have to eat breakfast, it's the most important meal of the day? Okay, it's right. And you know what? There's science that proves that. Studies show that people who eat breakfast do better in school. The reason for that is when you eat in the morning, it activates your body. It switches a switch in your mind that says, okay, it's time to go, it's time to start burning fuel and thinking. So if you don't eat breakfast, that switch doesn't get hit till later in the day. So you're starting out kind of maybe a little more sleepy, you need a little more coffee, not the best place to be. Also, by the way, if you don't eat breakfast, it can cause you to gain weight or makes it really hard to lose weight. Again, your body doesn't know that it's time to get up and get going if you don't eat breakfast. Certain foods promote brain function, and I'll show you some of those in the next slide. There are foods that have chemicals and building blocks that we need for our brains. Our brains only use sugar, but that doesn't mean like soda and candy and stuff. It needs complex foods that will break down into fuel. Good food increases your memory and your focus, and it makes it easier to think. So all of those things are going to be an advantage when you're going to an 8 o'clock math class. So these are just some of the examples of foods and why they're good for you. And a lot of these you could see, you could probably throw everything in a blender and make a smoothie, including the fish. Eggs, nuts, oatmeal, fish, blueberries, beets, spinach. These are just some examples, and I know they're not on everybody's top 10 favorite things to eat, but try to incorporate some of these into your diet. If you signed up for Student Health 101, every month it'll give you recipes that will help you to find quick, easy things to make that incorporate some of these foods. Okay, so does anyone know why we sleep? Actually, no one knows exactly why we sleep. Scientists are still trying to figure out exactly why we sleep. What we know is what happens when we don't sleep. It really impairs your ability to think. Just think of an example in your own life of like something like driving maybe, or solving a puzzle. Something you can kind of experiment with yourself is try to do some kind of puzzle in the morning when you're fresh and you've had breakfast, and then try to do it again right before you go to bed. You're going to see a big difference as you're fatigued, or if you didn't sleep the night before. So sleep is kind of, for a simple way to think of it, is when your brain has a chance to rest. If you are sleep deprived, it also worsens other conditions. So if you have ADD, ADHD, depression, anxiety, any of those things, when you're not sleeping, those things are just going to get so much bigger. It helps you, lack of sleep decreases your ability to solve problems and increases your chance of having an accident, right? Those of you who drive, if you've ever been driving sleepy, you notice you like, whoa, and there's a lot more accidents when people are sleepy. Okay, you can tell I have a thing against clowns. I really don't like clowns. I'd rather hold a snake than look at a clown too. But students come in to me and say, I can't sleep. I don't know what's wrong, I can't sleep. So there's a lot of reasons people have trouble sleeping other than real sleep disorders like insomnia. There are medical reasons that people have trouble sleeping, but that's pretty rare. Most of the times with students, it's these things. Too much caffeine. Even though you may not feel it, the energy drinks you have in the afternoon are going to stay in your system until the evening. So those definitely affect your sleep. Electronics. And it's not just you're up late on your tablet or your phone or your laptop. The color of the screen stimulates your brain and tells you to stay awake. So I recommend that people turn off all their electronics an hour before they want to go to sleep. And if you're really brave, try going to bed without electronics. Irregular bedtimes. So everybody wants to be a party animal on the weekend, and then the week comes and you're like back to your good, 10 o'clock bedtime. But if you don't stay within a couple hours every night, it sets you up to start having insomnia and sleep problems. Homework, we go back to the study every day thing. Staying up late to do homework, you're probably better off getting a good night's sleep, especially if it's a test. Napping during the day, short naps during the day are actually very good for you, very healthy, but taking a nap like at 5 or 6 so you can go out later that night, that's not going to be a good situation. Okay, exercise. So take a look at these two brains. The one on the right is after someone's exercised. The one on the left is someone who hasn't exercised. Which one do you think is got more going on? This one, yeah. So this tells you some of the things it does, but I'll tell you something interesting. There's a video that you can watch about a study that was done with actually high school students, but that it applies to everyone. There was a math class. So half the students got on the treadmill and exercised a half hour before the math class. Half the students didn't exercise. Guess who got better grades? The ones who exercised. It's also true for after you take a class. If you exercise within 4 hours of when you were in a class, you're going to remember what you learned better. So exercise does play a big part in how your brain is functioning. With this, I'm going to turn it over to Linda. This is her side of the house. She's going to talk to you about stress and mental health, and will be available for any questions later. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Deanna.